I wanted to go over the different countries in Central America that have really good residency and citizenship potential that you can get there. I'll tell you something about Central America. It has some of the best programs in the world today. As far as regions of the world, I don't think you could pick any other ones that were any better than this. Maybe in the Southeast Asia, there are a few areas like Malaysia. Of course, Malaysia's changing their laws. They're starting to tax remitted income. So, it's not like it used to be. Thailand's doing the same thing. Central America pretty much is not folding in on any of that, which is really neat. Now, let me tell you some things I like a lot about Central America. You have countries like Belize, Guatemala, Mexico, El Salvador. All four of those allow dual citizenship. All of them except Mexico have a territorial tax system. The problem with Belize, I actually like Belize a lot, but the passport is the worst in Belize of any of them. They don't have visa-free, the Schengen countries there. They do have a territorial tax system, which is really neat, and they allow dual citizenship. And you don't have to take a Spanish test. It's the only English-speaking country in Central America, so you don't have to worry about taking any tests to get the passport. But when you get the passport, it's not going to be a great passport. It's better than Dominican Republic. Of course, Dominican Republic's got a really bad passport, but it is better than the DR, but it's not as good as the other ones. The other ones do have visa-free, the Schengen countries. Belize does not. I don't know why they never have gotten it, but they just never have. It's not because of the drug issue, because El Salvador had a lot worse drugs than Belize did, and homicide rates were actually worse than Belize. And El Salvador's had visa-free travel to the Schengen countries even before Bukele came in and made all those changes, arresting all these gang members. But anyway, Belize will take you about 6 years of residency, another year to get the passport, so around 7 years, best case if everything runs right, okay? The other countries, I really think you're making a mistake if you're looking at getting the passport to go to Panama, Costa Rica, Honduras, Nicaragua, because they don't allow dual citizenship. That's a real problem, okay? They're going to want you to relinquish all your other passports. Now, I had a person the other day, believe it or not, it was a law firm, was telling me that Panama was allowing, I say allowing, it's against the law, but there's law firms doing it. It shows you the kind of corruptness they got there in Panama. But there's people that are actually stating on the forms that they're going to relinquish their other passports to get the Panamanian passport, and then they're not doing it, okay? And I would advise you not to do that, okay? And I said, so would you feel comfortable putting a YouTube video about that? She says, no, you can't do that. So that's telling me right there, okay, that's shady crap, which means that could come back to bite you, okay? And when you go and you get a passport, if it doesn't allow you dual citizenship, don't even go that route to begin with, okay? I mean, this is the type of stuff you see in Panama. This is a major law firm there too. I couldn't believe it. And they're saying that they're having people that are actually getting that second passport, and they're signing away that they're going to relinquish their other passports and when they're applying for the Panamanian passport. And I told you, I gave an example in another video a long time ago where a lawyer that I knew, now they might be getting slack and they might not be doing this now, but I'm telling you, if it's the law, I wouldn't try to. I know it's corrupt there, and people do things that are against the law there, and they get by with it, but I would tell you not to do it. But I gave you an example of a lawyer friend of mine who couldn't practice. He was a lawyer who moved to Panama, and he could do certain things dealing with law in Panama, but he could not practice in the courts unless he was a citizen of Panama. And he lived in Panama for years, but he didn't want to relinquish his U.S. citizenship. So he figured he figured he was just going to go ahead and sign documents stating he was going to relinquish his U.S. citizenship, knowing good well that he was not going to do it. And he signed these documents in Panama. He got his Panamanian passport, but then he went back to Panama. Went back to the U.S. And what happened was he tried to use a U.S. passport going in, which is the way you got to do it if you're a U.S. citizen going into the U.S. And they blocked him from coming in. He went nuts. He made a bunch of phone calls and found out his passport had been canceled. That form that he had signed with his lawyer there in Panama, when it went back to the government of Panama, they sent it back to the U.S. and they canceled his passport. Man, it was a nightmare. It took him several years to get his passport back, his U.S. passport, thousands of dollars. He had explained to the U.S. that he had no intentions of trying to drop it. He didn't know they were going to send it back to the U.S. So the government, the U.S., they reluctantly let him have his passport back. And Panama, of course, never found out. And my understanding is they don't really push it. You know, if you do something like that, don't push it. But this is the key. When you go and you break the law like that, what happens when you get a guy who wants to clean up the corruption? He comes in and starts going back on these people that maybe have gotten passports, and they start going back and checking to see if you've got, maybe you got to sign a form that says you have no other passport. You don't ever know what they're going to do. And that could end up screwing you up. You could end up losing the passport, being deported, maybe throwing your butt in jail. These are the things that I would tell you to try to stay away from. There's too many ways that you can get dual citizenship by doing things squirrely. You know, to me, it just doesn't make sense. And so, but that's what's happening. And they're doing this in Panama, and they're saying that the people are getting by with it. Okay, that evidently the government's not going back, and they're not sending that form that you're signing back to the U.S. I would tell you, don't do it. Okay. They're trying to encourage me, saying, "Hey, it works." Da, 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 da. I said, "Look, if you can't do a YouTube video on it, I'm not going to do stuff like that, because I know it's going to come back on my client. It's going to come back on me. If the Constitution says, unless they change that, it says that Panama does not allow dual citizenship for someone that's coming in trying to nationalize there." Okay. Now, another thing I want to tell you too is these other countries like Costa Rica, Honduras, Nicaragua, Panama, they don't allow dual citizenship. Now, there are certain countries where they have treaties with certain countries in Central America, and also Spain, I think, is one of the countries where they do allow dual citizenship, but only with that small niche of countries. Okay. And I always get somebody that will send something back to me stating that they do allow dual citizenship. They do it only in those instances I told you with those countries. Okay. And you have to look at 99% of the people that I talk to on YouTube are not in that category. So I have to just tell people as an absolute, almost absolute condition, that they're not going to allow dual citizenship. Okay. So if you're trying to go to Costa Rica, one of these countries like Panama, Honduras, Nicaragua, and you're looking to get the passport, just remember, if it comes time for you to try to apply for that passport, you're going to have a problem. You're going to have to relinquish your other passports. And some countries are more stricter than others, and I can't really, it changes constantly on how strict they are. What do? Do they want to see proof that you relinquish those other passports after you've gotten, of course, obviously you got to get the Nicaraguan or the Panama passport first, but are they going to make you come back at a later date and show proof that you've dropped that passport? That's the key right there. And if you don't want to do that, then don't get in that mess to begin with. That's the best way to do it. You know, don't get in a squirrely situation where there's too many countries that allow dual citizenship. Stick with those that have good tax laws. That's what I would be doing. Now, let's look at some of the countries. For instance, like, let's kind of narrow this down. Which one would you pick if you're going to Central America? All right, let me tell you the ones I would stick with for tax reasons, dual citizenship, fairly dependable. Central America is going to be slower than most places to get the passport, but my favorite choices there would be Belize or El Salvador. Okay, and you could put Guatemala in that category too. Those three are the three that I like the best. Okay, and I'll tell you why. El Salvador and Guatemala have better visa-free travel than Belize, but you're going to have to pass a Spanish test for the Guatemalan and the El Salvadorian passport. You will not have to do it with Belize because it's an English-speaking country, so you won't have that problem. Again, the visa-free travel is not as good with Belize as the other two countries, but what is the language test worth to you? You want to learn the Spanish language good enough to pass that test, the Spanish test. All three of them have great territorial tax systems, and I don't see any plans on any of those three countries changing. That's where they're getting a lot of their business expats coming in that are wealthy. That's the number one thing they're looking at. Costa Rica almost changed theirs from a territorial tax system to one that taxed worldwide income because they had all kinds of pressure from the OECD. When they changed it, they immediately changed it back. There was so much of an outroar. People complained, and they knew the real estate there was going to plummet because so many wealthy people moved there because of that territorial tax system they've got. So, I don't see that. I think a lot of these countries in Central America learned their lesson from Costa Rica, so I don't think they're going to change that. Now, again, if you're a U.S. citizen, U.S. resident, if you're from a high-tax country like Canada, Australia, that taxes worldwide income based on residency, of course, the U.S. tax is based on residency and citizenship, this stuff doesn't apply to you unless you break those ties. Some of them you're going to have to be outside the country long enough, like Canada or Australia. Some of you are going to have to pay an exit tax to do it. U.S., you're going to have to give up the passport, okay? So all this stuff I'm telling you is really immaterial until you break those other tax ties, okay? So I'm telling you, I'm giving you ways that you can get your taxes down low, but you're going to have to make those changes. And we've got a law firm that does probably more relinquishments than any other law firm in the world for U.S. relinquishments. And they work through our company, so if you want someone that's really experienced, this is a great firm to do it. They can actually time if you get like you wanted to get a fast track program like Antigua or St. Kitts or St. Lucia, we do all the fast tracks. He can time it so as soon as you get the passport, he can get all the paperwork ready. So once you get the fast track citizenship program that you want, he can go in and get the relinquishment done instantly or pretty close. Okay. But if you're giving up your U.S. citizenship, they're going to ask you at the embassy, the U.S. embassy, because you're going to have to do it outside the U.S. It'll be at the U.S. embassy. They're going to ask you if you've got another passport because they want to make sure you're not stateless, but you can't travel if you've relinquished your U.S. citizenship and you haven't got another one. So you're going to have to. That's part of the interview. They're going to ask you. They're going to also ask you if your state of mind is good. Are you crazy? They're going to ask you all kinds of crazy questions, okay? They want to make sure that you have stated on record that you're not nuts, okay? And that's part of the interview, unless they've changed it recently. These are some of the questions they'll ask you. But, I mean, this is a beautiful day out here, too, by the way. February, St. Kitts, I got my shorts on. Incredible weather here. And if you want a good place to go, whether it's St. Kitts, Antigua, the Leeward Island chain of countries, you can't beat it. Best weather in the world. But anyway, if you're looking for also weather that's not real hot, the Leeward Island chain, I like it better than Central America because it gets so hot in Central America. You don't have that in the Leeward Island chain of countries. That's where St. Thomas, St. Croix, St. Kitts, all these countries are pretty close to each other, about 80 to 100 miles from each other. Antigua, is about 50 miles away. St. Bart's is right on the other side of that building, about 50 miles away. I can see it on a clear day. All of these countries are real close by, and the weather in this area is the best in the world. It's whether, I don't care which country you move to, you're going to have stupendous weather here, better than you would in Central America. But some people, like Central America, they don't want to live on an island. So that's up to you and what you want to pick. But these are the countries that I would pick. Again, would be Belize or El Salvador. And I would not pick El Salvador because the crime rate was so bad, but Bukele has made a huge difference down there. I think some of the other people, I think he copied Trump a little bit on maybe Trump should copy him. But I think he's going to make a difference because some of these other Central American countries now are looking into what the system that they've got, and they've seen that it does work. He doesn't even have, my knowledge, they don't even have the death penalty there, but you can do all kinds of things and still not have the death penalty, and still get your crime rate almost down to zero if you have real strict laws, and you can get these people off the street that are doing all this shooting and killing. So these are some things that I would be looking at. Countries with low crime rate, and Belize does have high crime, but most of it's with drug dealers and gangs. And maybe Belize will take what El Salvador is doing and really start running with it. But again, the thing I like about Belize so much is you don't have to learn that other language. Now, maybe if you already know Spanish, this is a move you might want to take. In fact, if you already know Spanish, I would take El Salvador over Belize because the passport's better. They've got real good tax laws, just like Belize does. It's a territorial tax system. They only tax income inside the country. So, you have to make a decision. I would visit some of these countries and look at what they've got and then make your decision from there. If you want to know more on this, go to our website, www.citizenshipquickly.com, and just ask for some help. And I would like to hear from you. If you got a question or comment, put it below, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button at the right of your screen. You'll get new videos automatically as they come out. And I look forward to talking to you in the next video. Take care.